implementation of the concept is high in the light of the above suggestions, along with a mechanism for monitoring, supervision, and evaluation by the third party with no conflict of interest with implementing agencies may help emerge the national agriculture markets as a real game changer for Indian agriculture. So, however, in order to operate the e-norm at its fullest potential to pass on the intended benefit to the farmers, there are certain steps to be undertaken. Each e-norm, that is APMC market, should have appropriate storage facilities to provide cost-effective warehousing facilities to sellers, farmers, so as to avoid distress sale. If necessary, APMC may invite private players to build warehouses at the site of the mandis. This is quite impossible. So, made of payment should ensure prompt payment from buyer to farmer. APMC market should move towards electronic payments. The buyer, irrespective of his location, should participate in any of the market of his choice. The required logistic infrastructure for storage and transport is to be put in place. An institution to support inter-mandi trade and movement of produce, including dispute resolution mechanism, should be established. Action of the produce should take place simultaneously on one common electronic platform in all APMC markets in the country, as well as in the private market, as and when they come to establish. There are few limitations pertaining to operational and infrastructural issues of e-norm as observed. APMC are dealing with wide variety of commodities. However, it is observed that many a times major commodities that have arrival in large quantities during harvest period are kept out from e-norm platform due to time constraint. Even recently, you might have seen in television, there are several districts in Tamil Nadu. The farmers, they're just pouring all the paddy production in the open places without having proper safety and measures. So these are all the things which have to taken into account to consider this implementation of e-norm procedure. Generally, commodities having arrivals in fewer quantities are preferred, as they are easy to handle e-norm platform. Under e-norm simplified quality standards for 90 commodities are being finalized, covering most of the goods which comes to the respective mandis. Moreover, the government is also considering deployment of automated hazing equipments for the fast quality hazing mechanism. It is hoped that this will cover the major commodities that are arrivals in the large quantities during the harvest period. The APMC are lacking in operational hazing lab for grading of the commodities prior to put them for online action. Though some of the labs do not have some basic instruments like moisture meter and weighing bridge machines, and this is a major deficiency noticed in majority of the APMC, thereby affecting the prospects of introducing online trading platform in such APMC. Or APMC need to be well equipped with the basic hazing equipments, including automatic analyzer for both physical and as well as chemical quality. So another thing is that many of the APMC details of trade are captured from action booklet, buyer, seller's address, commodity name, quantity and action rate, etc., and uploaded on e-norm website for each individual action. This in such APMC, strictly speaking, online action of commodities on e-norm platform is not taking place, and the data of manual trading is being recorded into the system after the action is done offline. So this is also very pertinent things which prevails everywhere, especially the 12 states which have introduced this e-norm strategies. The significant variation has been observed in arrival date of AgMarkNet and e-norm, and AgMarkNet data records actual transaction data, while e-norm records the data captured at the arrival gate of the AMC. The foresaid issues and shortcomings of e-norm need to be addressed to make e-norm an effective platform of online spot trade by farmers, and for making it an efficient platform for price discovery. In addition to that, majority of the states made respective changes in their APMC Act to get markets integrated with ENAM. But the sad part is that the traders still fail to provide a competitive price to the farmers for their agriculture produce in their state. There is no evidence till date suggesting that new online system has increased farmers' income significantly in any of the region of India. This has to be highlighted again and again by the farmers and other trade union movements. And the Telegraph report that ENAM has not been successful in dealing with the existing problem of APMC like scrappy supply and market chain, scarcity of covered and open action platform, common drying yards, grading facilities, an electronic wave bridge, lack of accurate and timely market information system, and so on. In short, we don't have any infrastructure ready to which can support such a high ambitious initiative. Going online from offline is not as easy as it seems. We have already seen the extreme confusion created by the implementation of GST. It is to be noted that farmers are much more backward than business people, big or small. It is unrealistic to think that technological driven environment will run without collecting appropriate user fees, taxes at various ends of the supply chain. So in the next session, another speaker is going to talk about how this tax system is, which can be evolved in the E platform. So considering the low digital illiteracy in rural area, it will require computer centers with high speed connectivity to be set up, which are easily accessible to farmers. So these are all the major obstacles before us. So this has to be addressed by the eminent people of academicians. And another point of some observation which we derived from other case studies, the payment, lack of adequate facilities and staff for grading and analyzing complexity involved in understanding the transaction process. By saying through ENAM, poor access, better technology are the prioritized issues in ENAM transaction. This they have identified the delay in payment and grading and analyzing complexity involved in the process, not well versed in technology, delay in dispute settlements, limited number of commodities covered under ENAM, difficulty while handling mobile application. Farmers can register themselves for selling the produce through ENAM. You might have seen even recently this COVID-19 that vaccination has to be booked through online. There are several village people do not have Android mobile and other applications. They are very they are unable to register themselves for vaccination. So how this ENAM can be the common solution to introduce in the agrarian society to achieve better economic status? I do not know. That has to be discussed elaborately by the academic fraternities. So another thing is that it is advisable for farmers to use smartphone with internet connect to get upgraded from markets and would be able to action their produce their village. It will be certainly weed out unscrupulous traders and middlemen. Accordingly, the access of simple farmer regarding use of smartphone was surveyed. It was found that 67% of them have access to smartphone, and rest of the farmers are registering through Mandi's registration at gate entry itself. Further, it was observed that only 36% of the respondents are accessing ENAM through smartphone. Across the selected states, the use of smartphones for accessing ENAM portal is quite popular in few states like Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. In other states, especially in West Bengal, there is a remote access of ENAM portal from smartphones, so that there is a still long way to go, and the onus is on state governments to let farmers get benefits from their own smartphones and to check the dependency of the farmers and traders. So with these few words, I just once again I conclude my presentation, and now now it is open for discussion.
Thank you, sir, for being with us and discuss about the ENAM. Discuss with all the points, rather we can say like that, and clearly mentioned about what are the infrastructure availability warehousing facilities, what are the general constraints faced with the farmers on e-NAM, like non-acceptance of e-platform, absence of training facilities, logistic facilities, cumbersome formalities for result, issues by private players, lack of physical and technical support, and non-provision of price to the farmers themselves. But you also
and also one more, my own feeling, personal feeling is that we introduce, because of this, there's a e-NAM introduction can stop this buffer stock of our state, the PDS system also. This is also, nobody talks about this issue. Once when you make it in a common platform for all agriculture produce and things, where is the responsibility? Where is the responsibility of the state government to procure the agriculture produce for the buffer stock in terms of delivering the common essential commodities to common people through reduced poverty reduction? This is also a vital issue to be discussed in this forum. As far as Tamil Nadu government is concerned, it has a Paka system of warehousing scheme. The government should procure the commodities in the public domain and keep it in everything in the warehousing system, and through which they are sending the commodities in the periods to alleviate poverty and other aspects of social security schemes. So this is also a big threat before us. So while introducing this e-NAM strategy in the agriculture sector.
Thank you, sir. And also you have discussed about the steps to be undertaken to make this NAM agree.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Professor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it an open discussion for this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Dear participants, have any queries? You can post the queries in the forum. The resource person is available with us. You can put your questions in the chat box. Your questions will be answered by the resource person.
Come on, ask any questions, please, students.
Dear participants, do you have any queries? You can post your queries in the chat box. It will be answered immediately.
No questions,
So,
sir?
sir, what
From
are
the
the key,
participants?
sir? Sir, I have one query, sir.
Yeah,
What are
please.
the key area available to conduct research in the field of implementation of e-NAM?
Yeah. First of all, see, India is a vast geographical area, and we do not have that much advancement of that electronic advancement taking place. Even for we have been struggling for online teaching. Online, we as a university professor and college teachers can able to afford to buy computer and other broadband connectivity, everything. But is it possible for the common people in rural area? So how we are going to link this e-NAM strategy in the village level? Tell me, instead of strengthening this Uravar Sunday and other rural marketing strategy, when you make it in electronic gadgets alone cannot transform the entire gamut of agriculture development into the economic prosperity. So in that aspect, there are already, I will say, after you have given this topic, I have searched the net. There are several studies which have done extensively with regard to this e-NAM significance and other aspects of challenges and all. So take for, as I said very clearly, safety measures, social safety networks. Definitely that is going to dismantle the system of social security measures through introducing this e-norm procedure. I'm not against the government, the present government, but the strategy which they implement without looking into the other side of cause and effects. Salary people, we can afford to buy anything. But what about the others? Nearly 80% of the people are depending unorganized sectors. How you are bringing into one umbrella? So we have been talking about India, digital India, or make in India, everything. The ultimate objective of this present government to integrate entire things into one stream. That will not definitely going to make any economic progress of the nation or even individual or even lowest strata of the people. So this has to be academically, we have to be very carefully deal with this issue. Some even my own good friends in academic fraternity, they don't want to reciprocate against the government of government policies and all. They always whatever policies they bring into that, they immediately glorify, they appreciate everything. But personally, I tell you, it is very dangerous things to the democracy. That is why the farmers, they have been agitated more than 6-8 months. Government will not listen to their grievances. So making all into digital things will not resolve any solution. Being a common man, I'm from agrarian family. I know the difficulties of farmers. I know. See the you can really, if they are more particular to welfare of the farmers, they have to create credit facilities and farm facilities, farm input facilities at subsidized rate. Even it's very difficult to get fertilizer at a subsidized rate. And only when only 30 lakhs when you provide on each state to create a common platform for a digital market setup infrastructure. So is it resolve the entire problem of the farmers? No. So every student should take very case study, intensive study in a practical manner, in a field-based study. Then only it will reflect the reality of the introduction of this e-norm strategy into agricultural marketing. But I am not. At the same time, I'm not deny that we must appreciate, we must welcome this kind of digitalization in the agriculture farming. But before that, we have to take all the issue into consideration. Without taking all this important segment of thing, how really I don't understand why this system of everybody clapping once white crow flying in the sky, everybody will say yes, white crow is flying in the sky. We have to ask, we have to agitate, we have to see whether it is really worthwhile to enhance the lifestyle of the people of farmers. That has to be academically, we have to discuss, we have to debate, and we have to deal with the problem. Then only the farmers can get benefit out of this conference or the 5-day national webinar and all these things, strategies.
Thank you, sir.
This is what my personal feeling is that.
Okay, sir. Any other queries from audience?
Yeah, I am Gopalan. He himself was telling about all the problems and how to sort it out. He himself told the government is purchasing all the things, the raw rice, all the thing, but still the warehouse is very poor in Tamil Nadu. Yeah, unless the government comes out, each district you say, because farmers
give importance to renovate the warehouses.
Why should not be the warehouse?
Recently, I done a 2 district human. Please let me finish first. Let me say a few things, sir, with regard to your question. Actually, the government of Tamil Nadu, before when Madam Jayalalitha was alive, she has given a Vision 2023 document based on which they have given all the assignment to all the university teachers to prepare district human development report. In that development report, followed by that, district perspective plan reports. In that report, every farmer, they keep on asking this cold storage facilities and all these things. So the government of Tamil Nadu is having very good vision to address the farmers issue. In order to address this, then only you can strengthen the public buffer stock. Only thing that you can make more prosperous way of delivering the goods and services through PDS stock.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, please, you can.
Professor, hi, this side Dr. Amrik Singh Thakur from Himachal, Shimla. How this as per your version, digitalization is the wrong thing. Like you are saying, government of India is doing all wrong thing. Which farmer you are talking?
Take for example, I am a farmer in a rural village. I am producing a commodity for agriculture, so tomato or 20 kg per day. Yeah. How I can conduct through digitalization? How I can make my more profit to sustain my livelihood?
Can I continue my point? Everybody in India is the farmer, but there is one more thing. Like you are saying, all 5 fingers are not equal. But the people who are posing as a farmer, they are not in fact farmer. How can a farmer live since last 1 year out on a road? Because we have the 3 season, 2 major season and the 3 season. If you go with the vegetable, etc. So they are not the real representative, and we are misleading the facts. Why we are not? We have this much huge pool of university academician. Why we are not going the orthodox theory of the economics? Why we are not realistic?
Digitalization can disseminate the information to the farmers. That's all. Farmers not at all educated. They are all still half of the farmers are illiterate only. How digitalization can be more make them
they
prosperous.
have to get educated. They have to get educated. Education is very important.
You take that ground level. We have to take all steps.
That they have been common sentence. They don't know. They are all well versed with insurance, well versed with all the things.
We are all mistaken. We are all mistaken.
You introduce agriculture insurance schemes. While they are getting any natural calamities comes, there is no
100%, sir. 100%. This time, Tamil Nadu, they got it. Everyone got it. Don't say that they have not got it. They got it. Really, everyone has given money because of digitalization. Society.
I agree that state government only is supporting to the farmers.
Yes, we have the federal structure. Try to understand that.
6,000 rupees, they are getting all the farmers.
Try to understand. We have the federal structure, and everybody.
Yeah, it is which is there. You can't say separate out the central government is not doing anything.
I'm not saying they are not doing anything, but
no,
really,
sir. You had told.
Not only through. My argument here is only ENAM alone will not help the farmers.
We are not telling you alone, but
my core argument is that ENAM alone saying that will root out the entire problem of farmers.
No, it's going to help. Try to understand. We need to strengthen it.
Yeah.
The people who are sitting in Delhi, because I am the nearby state, they are the people who are the middlemen. They are the muscle men who are doing all wrong things there. They are just the tool in somebody else's hand. So we should not portray them as because no farmer. I am in the rural area. I am sitting in my hometown because, like we all know, we academicians are only the community who are getting 100% paid by the all state government, central government without doing anything since the pandemic started. So please, it's a misleading fact that we are posing them as our representative, where they are nowhere. No farmer can block our supply chain. Like we say, the road are the blood vessel in the human body. That's why. And one more thing, we are mistaken. Farmer may be illiterate in terms of reading and writing, but they are much more aware rather than we qualified people. They know which season, which date they need to sow their seeds, which chemicals, because I am experiencing past 2 years this thing. They are more well versed rather than us. There was an opening remark. The chief guest said they have the advantage of how to produce, but the market people who are the buyer, they have the Advantage of where to sell, how to sell. That is the difference that we need to meet it out.
Yeah,
Rather
that's
than
what
blaming to
you
this,
try
that,
to make a platform for the how to sell their
yeah,
produce at
that's what professor
a
we need
fair
to say,
prices.
ki
For
how to
that
strengthen
facilities,
that
you have to try
structure,
to make
rather than
arrangement for that.
blaming
Yeah.
to make the football of the one man. That is wrong idea totally. The guy who is working on that, he is never this much. It was never target any prime minister like the we all people are doing. It's the federal structure and it's a state subject. It's not the center subject.
So
Because the
thank you so
agriculture
much, sir.
was the,
Sir,
it was
thank you
on.
so much. Due to
Yes, sir.
time
Yeah.
constraint,
Please,
shall
please.
we move for next session, sir?
Yeah, this
Uh,
academic platform should not use for to peddle any propaganda.
Okay, okay, fine.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you, Dr. Sengotin. Thank you for your
Yes, sir.
given opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Over to Uma Maheshwari.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So, session 8 is successfully completed. Challenges in the implementation of ENAN with Dr. J. Socrates, sir. Next, we are on the session 9, where the topic is gender inequality in rural agricultural labors, for which we have the eminent research person, Professor M. Prashad Rao, head of the Department of Economics, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. So let me take this great opportunity to introduce our eminent resource person to the gathering. Professor M. Prashad Rao is an MA Economics, BL, PGDAS, and PhD from the University of Sussex, UK, and he is the professor of the Department of Economics, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. He completed his PhD under supervision of outstanding scholars Professor Michael Lipton, Dr. Diana Hunt, and late Pramit Chowdhury, University of Sussex, UK, as the prestigious Commonwealth Academic top scholar in the world. He is a development economist with 36 years of experience in teaching, research, and administration. He has published 10 books and 50 research papers in the national and international journals. His research interests are in the area of rural development, farm and non-farm related activities, related studies, and employment generation in the non-farm sector, poverty eradication in rural areas, and related policy matters. He teaches microeconomic analysis, macroeconomic analysis, development and international economics, quantitative techniques, computer applications, law, and economics. He has international experience as postgraduate Senate representative, University of Sussex, UK, in the year 1993. And he has been awarded with Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan Award for the Best Academician for the year 2007. He is also awarded with Brightman Award by Jatu Bhavana Samakya Ashram, Parvatipuram, in its anniversary in the year 2003, and also bagged by Man of Decade Award 2019 by Alliance Club International, and also Best Researcher Award by Andhra University in 2006. And he also be awarded with the State Best Teacher Award 2014 by the government of Andhra Pradesh. Currently, he is a head Department of Economics and honorary director of UGC Center for South Studies, Andhra University. He successfully served as rector, Andhra University for 1 year during the year 2018 and 19. He also served as honorary director, Andhra Pradesh Study Circle, Visakhapatnam. And he has guided 11 candidates for PhD and awarded with, and 3 candidates, including one PDF scholar who submitted their dissertations for the award of PhD degrees. He has extended his research activities as PhD, DLit thesis, adjudicator for different state and central universities in India. He was also member of Academic Senate, Andhra University. He was also the member of both the Finance Committee and Executive Council of Madras Institute of Development Studies. He is the editor of journal South Asian Affairs. He also acted as a chairman, PG, Board of Studies in Economics, Andhra University. He successfully served as a member of both the Executive Council and Finance Committee of Andhra University from 2016 to 2019. So really, we have such an eminent personality for this session number 9 of fourth day of 5 days national webinar on agricultural marketing and agribusiness innovation strategies and digitalization. So I kindly request our eminent resource person, Dr. M. The Department of Economics, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, to deliver special address to the gathering under the title Gender Inequality in Rural Agricultural Labors. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam, for your wonderful words about me. Good morning, everybody. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Audible, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Distinguished dignitaries, respected Dr. S. Madheswaran, Vice Chancellor, the Gandhigram Rural Institute, deemed to be University, Gandhigram. Khel Kumar, Principal, Kamadhenu Arts and Science College, who gave presentation, Program Coordinator, who gave welcome address, Miss P. Arundhati, Secretary, who gave felicitation address, Miss P. Maral Selvi, Joint Secretary, Dr. S. Uma Maheshwari, Department of Commerce, and Dr. M. Prakash, Department of Commerce, and today's other distinguished speakers, my good friends, Sri K. Krishnamurthy Garu, IRS, and J. Sacrates, and my good friend, Dr. Mani, I hope he is there, and my colleagues from the Department of Economics, Andhra University, other dignitaries, scholars, students, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to you all. It is indeed an honor and proud privilege to participate in this wonderful and prestigious 5 days national webinar on agricultural marketing and agribusiness, innovation, reforms, and digitalization strategies. I'm grateful to the organizers, Dr. K. Senthil Kumar and Dr. A. Sengotian, and to the Department of Commerce and also Kamadhenu Arts and Science College and Bhatyar University, Coimbatore, for inviting me to speak at this national webinar. The subject chosen, particularly agricultural marketing and agribusiness, is timely and very important. The title of my presentation is Gender Inequality in Rural Agricultural Level in India. Now, I'm going to start my presentation with the backdrop, that is the importance of Indian agriculture. As we are all know, agriculture is the backbone of the Indian economy. And despite concerted industrialization in the last 7 decades, agriculture still occupies a place of pride. Agriculture has been way of life and continues to be the single most important livelihood of the masses. As we are aware that agriculture plays a crucial role in the economies of almost all the countries, especially in the developing countries, as it provides the main source of food, income, and employment to their rural population. It is the art and science of cultivating soil and growing crops and raising livestock. We know India is one of the world's top producers of rice, wheat, milk, fruits, and vegetables. If we look at India's agriculture sector, about 54.6% of the total workforce in the country is still engaged in agriculture, and allied activities according to 2011 census, and which accounts for approximately 17.8% of the country's gross value added, GVA, for the year 2019 and 20 at current prices. Even in the COVID-19, the agriculture sector came up with a robust growth rate of 3.4% at constant prices 2021. Coming to the workforce participation rate, which is defined as percentage of total workers to total population. In India, rural work participation rate in percentage, 2011 census, female 30%, male 53%, and total 41.8%. There has been a 24% increase in the number of female agricultural labor from 49.5 million in 2001 to 61.6 million in 2011. Still, we are awaiting 2021 census. Nearly 98 million in Indian women have agricultural jobs, but around 63% of them, or 61.6 million women, are agricultural laborers, dependent on the farms of others, according to 2011 census data. The total number of people involved in agriculture has increased 12% from 234.1 million in 2001 to 263.1 million in 2011. According to 2011 census data, while agriculture's share in India's GDP has declined from 21% to 14% over the same period. We know agricultural laborers are those persons who work on the land of others on wages for the major part of the year and earn major portion of their income as a payment in the form of wages for works performed in the agriculture farms are owned by others. As we understand, there are 4 types of agricultural laborers: bonded or semi-free laborers, and dwarf holding laborers, part-time underemployed landless laborers, and full-time landless laborers. We can see there are 3 types of employment: farm employment, non-farm employment, and domestic employment. And look at the status of employment. The size of labor force in 2018-19 was estimated at about 51.8 crore persons, about 48.3 crore employed, and 3 crore unemployed. Female labor force participation rate increased from 17.5% in 2017-18 to 18.6% in 2018-19. And these facts reveal that 2018-19 was a good year for employment generation. Industry-wise estimates on workforce shows that the largest, about 21.5 crore persons are employed in agriculture, which is still the largest employer with 42.5% of workforce. In fact, that about half of the world population and 3/4 of poor live in rural areas. Since agriculture is a labor-oriented activity, the agriculture sector cannot survive without employment of labor. With this background, let us peep into further details of gender inequality in rural agricultural laborers. And coming to the meaning of gender, sex, and gender inequality. And historically, particularly in the rural agricultural laboratories in India, historically, gender and sex have been used interchangeably, but their usages are becoming increasingly distinct. Sex refers to the biological differences between males and females, such as genitalia and genetic differences. Gender, on the other hand, refers to the role of a male member or female member in society, known as gender role or gender identity. Thus, the role of men and women differ in society, and they are valued differently, even though both perform the same duties at the same time. And globally, more than 400 million women engage in farm work, although they lack equal rights in land ownership in more than 90 countries. Women worldwide engage in non-mechanized farm occupations that include sowing, winnowing, harvesting, and other forms of labor-intensive processes, such as rice transplantation. And also, one more aspect with regard to the gender inequalities. Inequalities exist in Indian society in different dimensions. We all know that, such as income inequalities, wealth inequalities, and social and cultural inequalities. One such dimension is gender inequality. The Constitution of India guarantees certain rights and privileges to women as fundamental rights and directive principles. Article 15 of the Constitution prohibits and discrimination of grounds of sex. Biologically, women much stronger than men, but there are less number of women in India as compared to men. The declining sex ratio is attributed to many cultural, social, and economic factors. There were 792 women in India in 1901, and this declined to over time. And gender inequality is measured in sex ratio 946 in 1951, 941 in 1961, and 930 in 71, 934 in 81, and 927 91, and 933 in 2001, and 940 in 2011. The overall declining manifestation of continuing gender inequality and its accentuations are clearly observed in Indian scenario. According to Oxfam, around 80% of farm work is undertaken by women in India. However, they only 13% of the land. They own only 13% of the land. And the recent statistics released by the University of Maryland and the National Council of Applied Economic Research, NCAER 2018, state that women constitute over 42% of the agricultural labor force in India, but own less than 2% of farmland. We all know women play important role in the rural sector. They work as farmers, wage earners, and entrepreneurs. Further, they shoulder a disproportionate burden of unpaid care and social and household work, including food provision, caring for children, the sick and elderly. Rural women have the potential to lift their household and communities out of poverty, undoubtedly, but they are hampered by persistent gender inequalities that limit their access to decent work, which they need as a vehicle for economic empowerment, social advancement, and political participation. Here, my question is, does agriculture increases gender inequality? If you say answer the yes, gender inequalities in agriculture stem from structural barriers that block women's access to land ownership and their key services. And some studies shows that patrilineal inheritances of both farmland and farm knowledge creates barriers for women farmers and reveals a large gender gap in farm income. Women population, which is 587 million according to 2011 census, constitutes more or less roughly 50% of India's population. Women in agriculture are affected by issues of recognition, and in the absence of land rights, female agricultural laborers, farm widows, and tenant farmers are bereft of recognition as farmers and the consequent entitlements. And I just want to mention few important aspects of factors of gender inequality or seeds of gender inequality. One important factor is land rights. Women are less likely hold statutory land rights, and women, they do own land. Their plots are often relatively smaller than men. And foreign or any investors in land tend to reinforce which inequality by dealing with those who do have formal right to land, that is men. And same is the case with the ownership of other profitable assets like companies, farms, houses, etc. Until 1850, American married women had no legal right to till 1988, women had the same fate. In most cases, husbands have more direct control over joint assets, including land. Therefore, control over land management may be more important than mere legal entitlement when it comes to women's land rights. Thus, the number of women who control land may be much smaller than number that actually own land. In the present 21st century, women acquire land primarily through marriage and inheritance rather than by individual purchase. According to Indian Human Development Survey, IHDS 2018, 83% of agricultural land is inherited by male members of the family, and only 2% of, or only less than 2% by their female counterparts in India. And the second important root cause are what seed regarding productive resources. With regard to the productive resources, gender discrimination is in credit markets, make it more difficult for women farmers to acquire labor-saving and innovative production inputs, mainly because of non-ownership on lands, as the lenders insist on such assets. The other thing is this can impede women's participation in outgrower schemes, although some investors facilitate credit access, and women also face access barriers to extension services, which create a knowledge gap that prevents them from benefiting equitably from new innovations. And also, women face barriers in accessing high capital inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, and equipment. And women lack access to skilled labor, connections to other farms, and linkages to potential buyers and suppliers. Because women tend to own smaller farms than men, they are far less likely to receive government agricultural subsidies, which target larger producers of such crops. For example, in United States of America, vegetables, corn, and soybean growers on large holdings receive millions of subsidies and insurance payments rather than the flowers and fruit growers because of small land holdings. Coming to the second root cause, the household labor. Women's household labor burden is resulting in unpaid work. The doing of domestic chores, tending of children, sick and elderly, and providing food to the family members, all is an unpaid labor. Investments that provide access to labor-saving technologies can reduce women's labor burden, but agro-processing and plantation female wage laborers face longer working hours, and the rural women always work on the land owned by their male family members at free of cost. Evidence shows that society tends to undervalue work done by the woman, which means that earnings in any occupation tend to decline as the proportion of women workers grow. And fourth important point is employment. Women's participation in rural sector is mostly unskilled, less skilled employment activities like sowing, transplanting, weeding, and harvesting. And their participation in cereal production is 94%, whereas the participation in fruits, nuts, and spices 3.72%, and vegetables it is 1.4%. And they are also engaged in work which requires patience and a little bit of precision. Plantation type agro export operations can create new paid employment opportunities, no doubt, to women workers, but employment conditions, including remuneration, are often poor. And further, crowding women into field and packing house level employment can expose them to physically arduous or hard work and to sexual harassment. Gender division of labor and thus relegates women to temporary insecure employment, and contract farming schemes can raise women's earnings, but women have been largely left out of these opportunities, either because of non-ownership of land or small land holdings, or because of some other structural advantages, barriers. And also coming to the fifth point, it's very important, that is decision making. Studies show most of the crucial decisions were taken by the male members in the family. This is mostly due to the fact that they do not own lands. And even if they hold small quantity, the decision making with regard to the type of crops grown, fertilizers and pesticides, technology used, and crop sale to certain parties, all will decided by the male members. And what I want to say, all these factors or seeds reinforce and institutionalize gender inequality in farming sector. In addition to that, some of the factors such as malnutrition, diseases, high maternal mortality and morbidity, high infant and child mortality, ferticide, abortion, and infanticide, and undercounting of women because of social stigma led to gender inequalities in the country. And some of the important aspects from the Indian point of view, And we all seen all these important routes. And India is not exception to this. In addition to the barriers like no access to land and resources and access to credit, occupation inequality, etc., all we discussed, and the gender inequality is unique in India. And one important aspect here it is loss of divided inheritance. And in India, due to loss of divided inheritance, the lands were mandatorily redistributed among male inheritors. And the perpetuation of these laws, generations not only limit the farm size, but also bars women from ownership of inheritance. As small farmers face increasing competition with large farm operations, an increasing number of men migrate to cities centers for high wages and employment. And if you look at in rural India, the percentage of women who depend on agriculture for their livelihood is as high as 80%, whereas only 63% of men engage in agriculture. Women make about of cultivators and about 33% of cultivators and 47% of agriculture laborers. Further, there is unequal participation in agricultural activities, which are labor intensive. 47% of women are in tea plantation. 46.8% of women are in cotton cultivation. And 45.4% of women are in oilseed growing. And 39% of women are in vegetable and fruit production. Another important aspect from the Indian point of view, the illiteracy. Women work is considered unskilled and less skilled, and their lack of empowerment often results in negative externalities, such as lower educational attainment for their children and poor family health. And 75% of Indian women engaged in agriculture are illiterate, an education barrier that prevents women from participation in more skilled labor sector. And lack of employment, mobility, and education render them vulnerable as dependents on growth and stability and agriculture markets. In India, 70% of the rural land is owned by men. Even at the Hindu Succession Act 2005 provides for equal right to ancestors and joint properties. And coming to the third important aspect, arranged marriage and caste system. In rural India, women's role in the household is generally defined by social structure and familial ties. Arranged marriage specific to each caste system determine their economic worth. Depending on caste and economic class, women are expected to care for children and maintain the household, which is unpaid. And the typical rural Indian household is patriarchal and patrilocal one, in which a husband or oldest son will make the decisions for family, and the married woman will always migrate to the husband's house. And another important aspect is the time allocation. In addition to rigorous agriculture work, that is undervalued and underpaid in the case of women. Women are also responsible for the well-being of the household. As per reports, when women spend 25 hours a week doing household chores, 5 hours a week in caring and community work. Besides this, 30 hours of unpaid work, women the same amount of time as men carrying out agri work. This is the difference, and very much is inequality. And daughter typically supplement or substitute for mother unpaid work around the household. The opportunity cost of girls' time for school is higher than that of sons. Girls do more household work than boys. And another important aspect is access to land and resources. As we have already noted, that denial of ownership to land and resources, they have a little control over decision making in reference to land, crop, mortgage, credit, etc. According to Icssr, equality in access is crucial step to economic empowerment to create gender equality. And the early access to education and health service is crucial to capabilities and self-acquisition of girls. In India, marital violence is linked to property ownership. 49% of property-less women experience physical violence and 84% experience psychological abuse. Among women who owned both land and house, and there was only 7% physical violence and 16% psychological abuse. And coming to the cooperatives, only 7.5% of Indian women participate in cooperatives as compared to 92.5% of men. However, women-only cooperatives, including cooperative banks, stores, food vendors, have done quite well and provided a whole range of services to their members. And also in India, with a view to involve women in the process of decision making in local self-government bodies, including cooperatives, a 33% representation has been instituted, and in a number of states, all boards of directors have women serving on that. This is a very important one, and still it is it should be implemented in all respects. And also labor participation, 32.8% in Indian women formally participate in labor force when compared to 81% of men. And also, I just want to mention other institutional factors, like besides patriarchal and patrilocal Indian households, which perpetuate gender inequality. The study shows that even son preference, dowry system, and child marriage further widen the gap. These are the important inequalities occur to my mind, and all of them I presented here. And what it means gender equality is maintained. There are some unassumed benefits we can get in all these sectors. And the most important benefit is helps achieve inclusive and sustainable economic growth and enhance effectiveness of poverty. And look at this is the home for illiterate. This is the home for poor people, and with the equality of the gender, and we can enhance the effectiveness of poverty and hunger reduction and food security initiatives, and also helps eliminate change adoption efforts, and also it work rural women at work as agents of change. Change is the law of life, and the actual development is a change, good change from ill-being to well-being, and that is most important. And the development is enlargement of people's choices. So at the moment, people are powerlessness and people are insecure, people are material lacking, and people are in bad relations, and people are poor, and all the situation should be changed. That is very, very important. It is possible only with the help of equalities, maintaining gender equality in the country. Then only we can say enlargement of people, increases people's choices. And that is the goal of the entire world. And that gives the security, that gives the material, material well-being, and that gives the richness, that gives the good, what we call good relations, and that gives the real development and well-being and purchasing power, real wealth of the nations. And coming to the what I want to say finally, equality of opportunity and treatment of human rights as such enshrined in international labor standards, including ILO Declaration, Employment and Occupation Convention, 1958, and in laws and regulations. This is very, very important, and opportunities should be given. And already it was long pending in the world. It's already taken more than 6-7 decades back, these laws, and we should implement in true spirit. And also the ILO Decent Work Agenda offers an integrated framework for rural women empowerment and underpinned by international labor standards. This is very important aspect to maintain the decent inequalities in many countries. And respect for rights at working employment, promotion, social dialogue, and social protection. And also the barriers to gender equality in rural labor markets are socially constructed and primarily stem from systematic institutional gender inequalities. And also these institutions include both social norms and structure of labor market organizations. And also institutional changes cannot take place overnight. This is very much clear because people are not educated, and particularly the status of women is very low in this country, and we have to overcome all these difficulties. And that's why these institutional changes, it is not easily taken place overnight, particularly with regard to the social norms. Much can be done to improve gender equality in rural labor institutions through government policies. And government has to play a crucial role in bringing equality in the societies by encouraging women in all respects, including their employment generation, including their income generation. Cooperative social responsibility, that is CSR programs, and building the strengthening of women labor organizations. And some of the reports indicate that all facilities which men are enjoying are given to women, then the productivity will increase at least 30%. I wanted to stress this point very much. So give them opportunities and see the society, and particularly the Indian society, there's a lot of change will occur. And that inequalities replace equalities. And you can see the world, and India is going to be #1 in the world with this objective only. And if you remove inequalities and gender inequalities, and who is going to be #1 in the world, and India is going to be #1 in the world, not the China, not the United States of America, not the G7 countries, but it is India, because India has the power, because this country is having a huge number of youth, more than 550 million of youth in the age group of 18 to 25. That is the strength of the nation. No other country in the world is having such an advantage. And this country is supposed to take this advantage and make them into human resources, productive resources, removing all these inequalities. And then only we can build a better future in this country. And let us wait for the better future for the rural woman. Thank you very much for giving this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Very nice presentation, sir. Over to Ma Mageshwari.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Am I available, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Any questions forward by the participants?
Any questions? It's
Any queries?
most welcome. Most welcome.
Sir, I have one query, sir.
Please, madam, please.
Yes, sir. See, what are all the specific steps, sir, that is any taken in account to meet women agricultural laborers, for increasing the earnings rate? You also said that specifically women are less skilled, they are paid less amount. But is there any specific things or any steps taken in account?
I'm unable to hear you. There is a interruption in voice. Voice is not clear.
Sir, am I audible now, sir? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, but the voice is not. There is a disruption in the words.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now it is okay,
No,
sir.
now it is clear. Now it is okay.
Yes, sir. See, you said one point, sir, that women employees are less skilled and they are paid lesser, even though they are hardworking more than men, apart from their household responsibilities. But still, why the rate or wage rate for the women is not increased till now? Any specific action taken by the government, sir? Any remedial measures, sir?
It's a wonderful question, Amma. That is the only difference. That is the only difference for the inequalities. Okay, woman is underpaid in this country, and they're showing woman is less qualified, less educated, and less strengthened, and the status of woman is less in this country, and that is the reason. And even in the look at even in the Western societies, as in Britain also, voting right was given sometime in the last century only, and so everywhere these are the man-dominated societies. But change is coming. But women are occupying good positions, and they're being educated, and they're finding equal partners, and still people are confined to their homes and kitchens. And that is the problem. So once upon a time, we were thinking women are not coming out, but this is not now. Women are coming out, and they're being educated. And at the same time, that action is important. What we mean, the education is nothing but action. So from women's side, action should be implemented, and that action is required at the moment. Then only we can see the change. So anything is two important things, and how to generate adequate employment, how to generate small incomes to the people. But at the moment, if you look at the workforce participation rates, still it's low in the case of women, and still some of the states 50% below the 50% of literacy rates, and some of the parts of the country 30-40%. And at the same time, women are not able to survive at the age of 40. So Biologically, they are strong, but they are unable to survive. And there's so many difficulties are there, and we have to overcome these difficulties. Then only we can expect the equal society. Equal society, we have to build up. So nations are supposed to build up equal societies. Otherwise, they cannot create overnight. It is the part and parcel of every man and woman in the society. Not only the responsibility of the government, but also it's the governments of and people of everybody exists in the on the face of earth. And those who live on the face of earth, 7.8 billion population, it is the responsibility of the every person. And then only we can expect the change. That change is very crucial, and it will come. You maybe myself and you not see the change, but the future generations definitely will see, because that is the essence of the human knowledge, human quality, and that type of quality of life we expect, and that's why you are organizing this wonderful seminar.
Dear participants, any other queries?
One query from one second, sir. Is there any scope for research in this area?
Ma'am, kindly check your audio, ma'am. Some noise is coming.
Sir, another question from Chetana to you, sir. Is
Yes.
there any scope for research topics in this area? The gender
Definitely,
inequality.
Amma,
Yes, sir.
there is a lot of scope, because as long as these inequalities exist, the scope will be increasing much more and much more to do some action research in this area.
Any other queries? If you want any clarification, kindly interact with the resource person.
Put your questions in the query bar so that it can be directed to the resource person. He is available with us, sir. Sir, again, the candidate is asking, the participant is asking, any specific talks that you can represent, specific topics.
Specific topics.
Yes, sir.
Gender inequality in rural agricultural labor in India. Specifically, you can choose any district or any industry or any agriculture area, and also try some sort of methodology, adapt some methodology, and get the data and choose some. There are so much of ideas. They have already done much work in the rural agriculture sector, and inequalities, gender inequalities, and look at some of the women studies as well, and all these things, and you can choose, and it depends. So right now I can if you are which place you belong and which part you belong, what type of inequalities you observe in your areas, then only you will come up with your topics. And just like that, we cannot come with the topics. The topic is what are the problems identify. Yes, that is also equally important. Then only you can come up with the ideas and topics and good methodology, and what say every place is different. Say every district is different. Every rural area is different. Some of the rainfed areas is different, and issued agricultural areas are different. So how people are, you can compare these two important and some of the crops, what types of crops are growing, and commercial crops. It depends on so many things. It is not just one or two things.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, any other queries? So I have one query, sir.
Please.
What is the major recommendation or suggestions to the government to avoid the inequality in rural agriculture labor?
What all laws we have adopted so far, passed so far in the parliament? You adopted 33% of rights to the woman in political and economic. That is the best solution at the moment. At the moment, we can think about it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
If you implement, and a lot of change will come. There's no doubt about it.
Any other queries?
Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can put in the chat box. Session 9 is going on with the resource person, Professor Prasad Rao, sir.
Thank you very much, Ma, for your wonderful thing, and I'm grateful to you all for having given me this wonderful opportunity. Thank the organizers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'll be.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So session 9 is successfully completed with our resource person. Now session 10 starts. The session 10 topic is effective implementation of agricultural price and marketing policy, for which we have the eminent resource person, Mr. K. Krishnamurthy, IRS, Income Tax Commissioner, retired, Hyderabad, Telangana. Now I take this great opportunity to introduce our eminent resource person to the gathering. Our resource person, Mr. Krishnamurthy, sir, has done post-graduation in economics from Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, in the year 1982. And he belongs to the batch, 1989 batch of IRS. Recently, he has done LLB from Bombay University in 2019. Before joining income tax, he has worked in NABARD for 2.5 years in 1988. And a resource person worked in the Income Tax Department at Bangalore, Visakhapatnam, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Mumbai at various capacities. And he has retired from the service from Mumbai as Commissioner of Income Tax in March 2019. And he also delivered several orientation lectures. And main highlighted thing about our resource person is he has participated as expenditure observer in general election to Lok Sabha in 2019 and in 2014 in West Bengal and Gujarat, respectively. He has attended advanced training course by IRS in service offices at Maxwell University, Syracuse, USA. So we are having a very eminent resource person for this session. Then day 4 of this 5-day national webinar on agricultural marketing and agriculture strategies, innovations, reforms, and digitalization strategies. So the title is Effective Implementation of Agricultural Price and Marketing Policy. So may I request Mr. K. Krishnamurthy, sir, IRS, Income Tax Officer, Hyderabad, Telangana, to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much for introducing me to the gathering. I will straight away go to the topic.
my topic is effective implementation of agricultural rights and marketing policy. We all know that the agriculture is the mainstay of Indian economy. It is a source of livelihood for more than 70% of Indians in rural areas. As per 2018 statistics, agriculture and allied activities like horticulture, animal husbandry, fishery, and forestry employed more than 50% of Indian workforce, even though it contributed 60.
Sir, not audible, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Okay, okay.
Sir, you are not audible.
That's what I was asking. How about now?
Please unmute, sir. Please unmute, sir. It is muted. Single time, sir.
1 second.
Single time, sir.
Am I audible?
Paneer Selvan, sir.
I've unmuted. But now?
So kindly unmute the sir.
Am I audible now? Hello? Hello? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay.
You are audible.
I think there is some problem from your side. Hello? Hello? Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. You are audible. Please continue, sir.
Okay. So, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. So, we all know that the agriculture is the mainstay of Indian economy. It is a source of livelihood for more than 70% of Indians in rural areas. As per 2018 statistics, agriculture and allied activities like horticulture, animal husbandry, fishery, and forestry more than 50% of Indian workforce, even though it contributed 16 to 17% to in country's GDP. Apart from employment, agriculture also plays an important role in providing food security to the country, besides feeding millions outside the country through export. As for a sustained economic growth, farmers should be taken care with appropriate pricing and marketing policies from time to time, without leaving him to the vagaries of market forces of demand and supply, frequent climate disasters, and crop and livelihood diseases. The significance of agriculture in India, this seminar on agricultural marketing and agricultural business occupies appropriate and timely. As such, I appreciate the organizers and sponsors for their initiative to conduct this seminar. I also thank Dr. Sengatyan and his team for the opportunity to speak. I would like to move directly onto my topic without much details on agriculture, since all the participants so far and resource persons have dealt with in detail for the last 2 days, and tomorrow some more people will share their experiences. I divide my topic into 3 parts. Understanding of agricultural pricing policy, understanding of agricultural marketing policy, and their effective implementation. So let us first start with understanding of the agricultural pricing in India. Pricing policy plays a pioneer role in the economic development of the country. It is an important instrument for providing incentives to farmers, for motivating them to go in for production-oriented investment and technology. In a developing country like India, where majority of the population devotes 2/3 of its expenditure on food alone, and where majority of the population is engaged in agriculture sector, prices affect both income and consumption of cultivators. The government of India announces each year procurement or support prices for major agricultural commodities and organize purchase operations with public agencies. So what is the need for agricultural policy? Violent fluctuations in agricultural prices have harmful results. For instance, a steep decline in the price of particular crop in few years can inflict heavy losses on the growers of that crop. This will not only reduce the income but also dampen the spirit to cultivate the same crop in the coming years. When there is a fall in supply to demand, the government will be forced to fill the gap by resorting to imports. Buffer stock is available. On the other hand, prices of a particular crop increase rapidly in a particular period, then consumer will definitely suffer. What are the objectives of this agricultural price policy? The first objective is to achieve the balance between the interests of producers and consumers. The balance should be struck between the producers, that is the farmers, and the consumers, who are the ultimate buyers. The interest of the government is to strike a balance between these two groups of people. The prices are to be fixed, keeping in mind the demand for it. To control cyclical and seasonal fluctuations of price rise. The agriculture price policy should aim at to bring the greater integration of price between the various regions in the country, so that regular flow of marketable surplus is maintained and exports of farm products stimulated regularly. Prices should also aim at raising the production of various commodities in the country. Towards this goal, the government of India has come up with National Agricultural Policy in 2000. It has set marketing, irrigation, along with development of horticulture, fisheries, biomass livelihood, agriculture, etc., for all-round development of agriculture sector. To make the provision for infra development related to agriculture and thereby to infuse new private investment. The policy also aims at reviving and strengthening cooperatives, NGOs, and local communities for development of agriculture. It also aims to improve the marketing arrangements of agricultural produce. The NAM, that is National Agriculture Marketing, has entrusted the government to undertake responsibility for ensuring remunerative prices of agricultural produce to the farming community by adopting necessary price support policy. Now the government has certain institutions to implement this national agricultural policy. The government of India has set up Agricultural Price Commission in 1965, which announces.
Sorry for interruption, sir. So kindly adjust your mic, sir. Some noise is coming, sir.
Okay. Okay now. Hope I'm
The same, sir.
Okay. How about now?
Now okay, sir. Now,
Okay.
sir, just moving the mic, sir. That's why.
Mic is shaking, sir. Your mic is shaking. Hold tight the mic, sir. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir, please.
The government of India has Agricultural Price Commission in 1965, which announces minimum support price and procurement prices for the agricultural products. In 1985, the name of this institution was changed to Commission for Agriculture Costs and Prices, CACP. The Food Grains Policy Commission has appointed by government in 1966, which also recommends various measures of price control. The Food Corporation of India was also set up in 1965 for making necessary procurement of food grain. The government fixes the MSP, that is minimum support price, through CACP of agricultural products like wheat, rice, maize, cotton, sugarcane, pulses, etc. regularly, twice a year, Kharif and Rabi seasons, to safeguard the interest of farmers. The Food Corporation of India also makes their purchase of food grains at a procurement price so as to maintain a rational price of food grains in the interest of the farmers. To safeguard the interest of the consumers, the agricultural price policy has made provisions for buffer stock of food grains through FCIs for its distribution among the consumers through PDS system. So what is the meaning of what is the purpose of this MSP and how it works? I will give brief note on that. MSP is the minimum price for any crop that the government considers as remunerative for farmers. It is also the price the government agencies like FCI pay whenever they produce a particular crop. The Union Budget 2018-19 has announced that MSP would be kept at a level of 1.5 times the cost of production. MSP is given 22 mandated crops. Out of them, 10 crops are Kharif season crops, 6 are Rabi season crops, and 2 other crops. The cereals are included in this: paddy, wheat, barley, jowar, bajra, maize, rabi.
Sorry, sir. Sir, kindly remove your earphones, sir, headphone. I think it will be audible. Now you can, sir.
Your voice is not audible to me.
Yes, sir. Yes.
5 pulses, gram, tool, moong, oil seeds, groundnut or rapeseed, mustard, soya, soybean, likewise 8 seeds are there, and raw cotton, raw jute. Likewise, there are 22 crops mandatorily MSP has been fixed. CPCA considers various factors while recommending MSP for a commodity, including cost of cultivation. It also takes into account the supply and demand situation of the commodity, market price trends, and parity vis-a-vis other crops. Budget for 2018-19 MSP henceforth was fixed at 1.5 times of the production cost per crop as a predetermined principle. So this is how this MSP will work. So CACP makes projections using state-wise corporate crop specific production cost. Swaminathan Committee, which is National Commission for Farmers, has recommended this MSP, which is 1.5 times the cost of production. The A2, he has formulated a formula, 3 kinds of production cost. A2 covers all paid out costs directly incurred by the farmer in cash and time. And seeds, fertilizer, pesticides, hired labor, land, fuel, irrigation, etc. And A2 costs plus an imputed value of unpaid family labor. And he has also formulated C2, which is a comprehensive cost that factors in rents and interest foregone on owned land and fixed capital assets. This will be on top of A2 plus FL. AC cost, FL is family labor foregone, and rents and interest foregone is a C2 cost. The farm activists have demanded that 1.5 times MSP formula originally recommended by Swaminathan Committee should be applied on C2 cost, whereas the government is applying only on the A2 plus FL costs, and the C2 formula has been taken as a benchmark. This is the difference between the government and the farmer community. There is another like procurement price. The procurement price is the price at which the FCI sells the product to the dealer. And always the MSP is less, procurement price is always more than the, most of the times will be more than the MSP and open market price. Then there is an issue price. This issue price, price at which the procured and buffer stock food grains are sold through PDS. Then there is a remunerative price. Remunerative price is that price which is beneficial to a farmer, which includes all his costs. So these are the basic cost concepts which we should understand. And now we need to understanding of agricultural marketing policy. The advent of APMCs during 1960s and 70s, most of the states enacted and enforced Agricultural Produce Marketing Regulation Act. They are called APMR Act. All primary wholesale assembling markets were brought under the ambit of these acts. Then the APMCs have operated on 2 principles. One is to ensure that farmers are not exploited by the existing intermediaries, money lenders. Second is all food produce should first be brought to the market yard and then sold through auction. Licenses were issued to the traders to operate within a market. They are called APMC mandis. The mall owners, wholesalers, traders, retail traders are not given permission to purchase the produce directly from the farmer. Even though APMCs were formed to solve the existing problems and arrest exploitation by intermediaries, a new set of problems were let loose. farmers have to sell only to the licensed commission agents who generally form cartels to procure the produce not above a specific price, irrespective of MSP, thereby increase their profit at the cost of farmers. So the APMCs over a period of time have developed their own weaknesses, which whereby the exploitation of the farmer have increased. As a result, the government of India, NDA government, has recently brought agricultural reforms 2020 by introducing 3 acts. Let us deal briefly about these legislation. The government, with the aim of transforming agriculture in the country and raising farmers' income, have passed 3 important legislations from Parliament. These legislations sought to bring much needed reforms in the agricultural marketing system by removing the problems came out with the APMC system. The first legislation is called the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Act 2020. The second act is Government and Protection, Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Act. The third one is an amendment to Community Act 1965. So these these basic principles, and then I will focus on the effective implementation of these price and marketing policies, because that is the main thrust of my topic. So with the first act, the farmers will be having free choice to sell their product either in the APMC market, outside the APMC market, when the competitors are more, and the price will be, price of the agriculture produce will fetch remunerative price, and it promotes traders, interstate and intrastate trade. The barriers of the state barriers in the movement of goods was reduced, and it will open more choice for the farmers, and one nation, one market formula will be followed with this legislation. Then there is a second act which is called Contract Act, or Farmers Agreement of Price Assurance and Farm Services Act. This aims to provide a national framework on farming that protects and empowers farmers to engage with agriculture business, farms, processors, wholesale, experts, exporters, large retailers for farm services. It is a level playing field, because the farmer can directly enter with the corporate or private people for growing a particular crop of particular quantity, particular quality, and the farmer is expected to get fetching remunerative prices from the level players. And then it also intended to invite the private investment in godowns, cold storage facilities, and similar type of marketing facilities. It also intended to eliminate the intermediaries which the APMC markets are suffering. And the government has also brought in the Essential Commodities Amendment to the Essential Commodities Act. With this amendment, the, the the limit for holding the product was removed. So the persons who are the markets, the market traders who were earlier who were given a specific quota to hold, and those who hold more than that were penalized. Now this bar has been removed. Any trader can hold any stock except under certain emergency circumstances like war or some emergency, some fall in the rise in the prices and fall in the agricultural produce. So the main benefit is the amendment will deregulate the commodities such as cereals, edible oils, oil seeds, pulses, onions, and potatoes. It will help help to lessen the fear of private investors of excessive regulatory interference in their business operations. So, what are the significance of these three legislations? These three legislations will accelerate growth in the agriculture sector through private sector. It will help small farmers to get better prices. Contract farming will allow farmers to enter into contract. It will promote creation of farm producer organization, FPO, creating a farm-friendly environment for contract farming. And this will also increase the competition between the traders. Earlier in the APMC, there will several farmers, but there is only one buyer who is the APMC. And with the introduction of these acts, the farmer can directly handle with so many buyers outside the APMC mandi. Then there was a lot of criticism on these three legislations. Some may be political, some may be non-political. The main criticism was on the federal angle, and the second one is lack of consultation with the farmer organizations and the other interested groups. And there is any regulation in a non-APMC market. It gives preference for corporate interest at the cost of farmers' interest. This was the main fear of the farmer. There are no, the acts did not suggest any control of non-APMC mandis. So when the farmers were suffering from the APMC mandis, the legislations were brought in, but there was no proper to arrest the exploitation by the non-APMC mandis. The above three legislations basically aimed at creating additional trading opportunities outside the APMC market yard to help farmers get remunerative prices due to additional competition. It proposed an electronic trading in transaction platform for ensuring a seamless trade electronically. None of the legislations affected the MSP in any way, since the MSP is an administrative decision, not a law. APMC will still be available as a choice to sell their products. The sale, lease, or mortgage of farmers' land is totally prohibited, and farmers' land is protected against any recovery. So these are the basic factors of agricultural pricing policy and the agricultural marketing policy. Now, how these policies can be implemented effectively so that the farmers have the maximum gain. In this part of my presentation, I will first identify an issue related to this pricing and marketing and try to suggest plausible measures to solve it, to implement the policies effectively. Existence of APMCs and MSP. With the introduction of first legislation that farmers produce trade and commerce, farmers started apprehending that when they can sell in non-APMC mandis, the significance of APMC mandis will come down, and in course of time, both APMC and MSP will wither away. So a solution for this type of apprehension is when the farmers during their agitation have raised this issue, the government has made it very clear that both APMCs and MSPs will remain and the farmers can sell their product either in APMC mandis or outside whenever they get higher price. Both APMC and MSP should exist because as per one survey, 43% of households are happy with them, and states like Punjab and Haryana got benefited with them probably due to trust built over time with commission agents and traders. However, the government should take measures to control cartel formation and remove other such glitches like inefficiency, corruption, nepotism in issuing license, etc. Since the intermediaries are licensed traders, their license be cancelled for any malpractice or harassment caused to farmers. Necessary amendment to be made to the existing law, thereby removing fundamental defects of APMC mandis. So when the government has permitted to remain APMC system as well as MSP, the fear that some people will be affected will be taken care because both will be existing. The second issue is that MSP has no legal backing. Mr. Sainath, he is the founder editor of People's Archives of Rural India, wrote in the Wire magazine that the laws passed have no legal backing, and these laws cannot be challenged by the farmers or by any of the interested groups. Of the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act, no suit, prosecution, or other legal proceedings shall lie against the central government or the state government or any officer of the central or state government or any other person in respect of anything which is in good faith done or intended to be done under this act, or of any rule or orders made thereunder. So the section 13 makes it very clear that these acts cannot be challenged by any lawsuit. Section 15 deals as no civil court shall have jurisdiction to entertain any suit or proceeding in respect of any matter. So these sections go like this. So what we can understand from these two acts are that no suit it is not just farmers who cannot sue, but nobody else can also sue. It applies to pills, it applies to non-profit groups, it applies to farm unions or any citizen of the country can challenge these acts, because the section 13 and section 15 ban the powers of these groups to challenge the operation of these sections. And it converts the low-level executives into judiciary, because no civil court will have jurisdiction. The wording is that no civil court will have jurisdiction. That means no judges can sit on these cases. Only the bureaucrat, of the executives of the government can decide on these acts. Similarly, the second act, which is contract farming, that is farmers agreement, though it also starts with no civil court shall have jurisdiction. So the same wording as I read out in the case of first legislation. So what is the solution is, the government should allay the fears of the farmers with regard to the legal stand of these legislations. So now the government's responsibility is to dispel the apprehensions that if something, if the farmers farmers' interest is affected implementing these acts, the government has to take care of that. The next issue is MSP is devoid of any legal backing, because MSP is recommended by the government body called CACP, but government is not bound to follow. It is only an administrative decision of the government. Farmers cannot demand it as a matter of right. So solution for this type of problem is that MSP should have legal binding with penalty clause and applicable to purchase of APMC mandis and non-APMC mandis. Any purchase for less than MSP rate, when it is less than market price, should be punished. When MSP for maize was fixed at 1,800 per quintal, it was bought at only 1,000 rupees in the market. So even if MSP is fixed, if the buyers either in the APMC mandi, outside the mandis, if they are not buying at the MSP rate, then the MSP rate is of no meaning. So what has to be done? The government has to intervene and see to it the justice is done and MSP is implemented properly. The next issue is MSP is available to about 23 products, but the FCI is purchasing only paddy and beef, and farmers are also focusing more on such products because it is remunerative for them. This causes a problem in places like Punjab and Haryana, where they produce more wheat and paddy, and they won't produce other products even though MSP is available. So solution for this is that APMC should be continued where it is working well and people have confidence in it, and they should make to purchase other food grains too at MSP, so that the potential benefits of MSP were reaped fully by the farmer community. So there is, what I mean to emphasize is that even though there is a proper mechanism in form of agriculture price policy in the form of MSP, its implementation is more important. And if the implementation is not properly been done, then the pricing policy will become disadvantage to the farmers. Mr. Ashok Gulati is an agriculture expert of expert body created by Supreme Court when the farmers agitation was going on on Punjab issue. So he has made an observation that only 6% of farmers, almost all in Northwest, benefited from MSP. 8,275 crore from the state, averaging to 1.22 lakh per farm household. They get subsidized credit and PM Kisan grants. Their high farm income translates to high land price of 550 to 100 lakh crores, a lakh per acre. Industries do not invest because land cost is very high in Punjab. Marginal farmers of 1 hectare or less than 1 hectare is worth 1.5 to 2.5 crores. And vote bank policies do exist in Punjab in the form of free electricity for pumps. So Punjab is a low rainfall area, but free electricity makes rice profitable. Rice needs lot of water, and the unlimited electricity, free of electricity, will be more useful to the Punjab farmers to grow rice at the cost of the loss of aquifers. APMC and MSP, the solution what I'm thinking is that APMC and MSP to be retained in Punjab because it is working well there and people are keen to continue. Subsidies to be restricted to small and marginal farmers, but not all. Product diversification is a must because the farmers in Punjab and Haryana mostly focus on wheat and paddy, and they need to diversify their products where at least MSP is available. To withdraw free electricity so that the rice production will be reduced and water aquifers can be saved. Agriculture being a state subject, the Punjab model need not be repeated in other states. So in the agitation, what the Punjab farmers were asking is that the MSP should be made a legal sanctity, and if somebody is not following or not buying at the MSP rate, they should be penalized, and that is one aspect. Second aspect is that MSP should be made available in APMC market, APMC mandis as well as non-APMC mandis. So government has to take a call. There are price fluctuations in the production of certain crops. So this also needs to be addressed for the effective implementation of price policy. Growth of certain crops like sugarcane, a crop of 10-month duration, depend on the future prices. If the current year's price is remunerative, farmers tend to grow more in the next year. When supply increases, and when supply is more than demand, then prices will fall. In the subsequent year, the sugarcane growers will reduce the land under its growth. Then supply will fall, and supply will be less than the demand in that year. In such a situation, price will rise. Then crop area will be increased again. This cycle will repeat again and again. Some farmers will flourish because of the this forecasting of the prices, and some will perish if they cannot forecast properly the future prices. So in such a situation, what government should do for implementation of the price policy is that the government should maintain MSP or FRP, that is fair and remunerative price, especially maintained for sugarcane, to the advantage of the farmer. Government should assist those who reap losses in the process, either in the form of insurance or any other aid. FCI procures the buffer stock, and the MSP based procurement system is also dependent on middleman, commission agent, and APM's officials, which small farmers find difficult to get access to. It is reported that FCI trusts some dealers, and when the containers bear the name or brand of those dealers, it accepts without questioning, whereas denies other products with an excuse that there is no space in the godown. So I feel that this is an administrative difficulty, and this can be handled by the inspection of the FCI godowns and complaints received from the farmers time to time. The next issue in this context is issue of APMC mandis and statutory levies, mandi taxes, VAT, etc. is being a strong entry barrier for small and marginal farmers. Once the product is taken, including all these statutory levies, mandi taxes, and VAT, very less and on what way. These levies and taxes will be taxed at the minimum possible level. Suppose we maintain APMC, and APMC also have to financially remain active. For that, the levies and taxes is a must, but this should be kept at the minimum level, so that the harassment to the farmers and the burden to the farmers will be as minimum as possible. The next issue is diversification of product growth. Farmers generally, they grow the product which they are familiar, but they don't have idea of the price of the other product, even though MSP is government should make some policy that no product other than rice and wheat, MSP for them is also available. The next issue is when a product like paddy and wheat is grown excessively, the farmers will not get remunerative price or may reap losses even at MSP in certain cases. So even though MSP is there, sometimes the farmers may not get a remunerative price. So in that case, the diversification is the only way out to get remunerative prices, because the supply and demand factors, when the farmers grow more product, then automatically its demand is constant and supply is more, the prices will fall, and the farmers cannot get a remunerative price. So the best policy is to cut short certain production of certain products where the prices are low, and shift on to the other products like oilseed, pulses, etc., so that they will get remunerative prices, even if MSP is since MSP is available for them also. Farmers, next issue is farmers get less price than the retail shop. Farmers get less, but the mediators will get more. So farmers generally get less price than the retail shop. Grade the product, maintain quality, preserve after processing. They also make it available to the door point by nearest retail shop. So farmers should do the same activity as intermediaries so that they can fix good price from the customer. Processing and storing activities to be done at different places, that is field level, then go down level, and the sale point level. If a farmer harvests a crop, he should make preliminary processing at the field level, and then do some other grading of good quality, bad quality, medium quality, and he has to fix the prices accordingly so that he will get good price. And in Andhra Pradesh, the erstwhile combined Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Right Bazaar concept was introduced to help the small farmers who can directly bring their product to the market and sell it at a remunerative price by avoiding these intermediaries. And in Karnataka, hop comes, which is for mostly fruits, horticulture corporation, horticulture cooperatives. They also have made to purchase directly from the farmers and sell it to the ultimate users. So in the Right Bazaar concept of Andhra Pradesh, the government has given incentives like movement of goods at free of cost and a platform to sell their own products in their with themselves only. But there are some hitches at this point of time. When a farmer is busy in farming in the field, he cannot come to the market to sell his product. He has to be there at either place. So if he wants to bring it to the market for sale, then it will be at the cost of his farming activity in the village. So therefore, again, they found it convenient to hand it over or sell it over to the intermediaries at the lowest price or at a lesser price, and then go back to their villages for their farming. The next issue is with the high input costs. When the input costs are more, then the farmer cannot get the remunerative price by selling his product. The solution is that inputs like fertilizers, seeds, electricity, irrigation, etc. are to be regulated and supplied by the government either at free or subsidized cost to small and marginal farmers, but not to all. This subsidy should be confined to only small and marginal farmers. Seeds and fertilizers are to be provided at their doorstep in villages through village panchayats. So, in this process, the corrupt practices to be arrested simultaneously through proper transparent policy. By getting the input, agricultural input, the farmer can reduce the cost, and even if the so you can manage with the market prices of the day. The next issue is transport costs. Roads and rail connectivity should be made available to all villages so that the inputs are reached to every farmer on time and finished product is transported to the mandis quickly. This is required because most of the products of the farmer are perishable items, and they need to be transported at the earliest point of time. The next is delay in payment of dues in APMCs. So the government should ensure that the payments for the goods sold should be made within 3 working days as envisaged in the new laws. The next issue is small farmers are still in the clutches of money lenders and traders. During harvest of 2-3 months, the prices are lowest. Farmers need money for next crop, so they tend to sell at a lower price. In a place called Anakapalli in Andhra Pradesh, the jaggery dealers lend money or give money to the growers of sugarcane, and once the crop is harvested and jaggery is made, then the farmer is supposed to sell that jaggery to them only. Because the initial cost of operation is borne by the trader, and the price is fixed at the time of giving money in the beginning. And when the crop is grown, this crop is a 10-month crop, is grown only once in a year. And when the crop is harvested and the jaggery is made, then the as per the agreement, the farmer is supposed to hand over the jaggery to them at the cost determined before. So this also leads to a lot of inconvenience to the farmers, and they are unable to come out of the clutches of these jaggery traders. So the solution is that such farmers should approach credit cooperatives for credit or take institutional finance. Government and local officials should guide them properly, and institutional finance should be made available on easy. So I will speed it up because my time is going to be over. Next is wastage. So while determining the MSP, the dealers or the agents, what they do, they remove a lot of wastages in the form of in the name of quality of the product. For example, if it is sugarcane, then they will remove the roots and they remove the upper part of it. And in case of chili also, they remove stems, and for inferior quality, they will give a lesser price. So even if the MSP is fixed, it becomes a fiasco when it is not been properly implemented. So for this, what I suggest is the government should ensure that wastages in the name of quality to be kept at minimum, and harassment to the farmers is made minimum. So like the APMC mandis are ineffective since only 6% of product is being purchased by them. When product is sold in non-mandi, non-APMC mandis, the corporate may exploit farmers by not buying at MSP as being bought by APMC. So this is one of the one fear. What if the private also disappear after APMC closes its gates? So the first fear is that when the sale is not made compulsory in APMC mandis, over a period of time, the APMCs will disappear because the private players will be increasing. And if in the due course, even those private players also disappear, then where the product is to be sold. So for this, what I suggest is the government must allay the fears of the farmers. If even the private players won't show interest in purchase at higher prices, and the farmers excessively depend on them, so suitable safeguards must be made in the Act. So then farmers suicides is another issue, and this is mostly because of the crop failure, and the government should ensure the crop insurance to save the farmers from such type of issues. Then then I quickly finish it. Then the I will conclude by saying that with this I conclude by saying that so long as the new innovative ideas and technology do not go into agriculture sector in sufficient measure, and so long as the educated youth do not accept the agriculture and allied activities as their profession, the problem will persist in agriculture sector. So I also believe that so far everyone's focus is on agricultural production, but not on the welfare of the agricultural producer. Education, health, and finance should go into agriculture sector in sufficient measure to accept it as profitable profession. Otherwise, whatever may be the legislations, the lot of farmers will remain as it is. Sometimes I feel that like Consumer Protection Act, there should be a legislation of Consumers Farmers Protection Act and legal sanctity to be given for grievance redressal. I also fail to understand as to why there is no MRP for the agricultural products like other products of the corporate sector. Because I feel that they are perishable. But if they are perishable, how about MRP for milk? The reason could be a limited production, storage facility available, and byproducts can be made out of the product. So I feel that MRP for agricultural products can also be fixed by farmers once they follow the limited production, storage, and byproduct formula. So let us hope for the best. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think I have exceeded my time. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, sir, for being with us in this busy schedule of years and explaining the agriculture pricing policies like provision of regulatory market prices, better prices for the commodities to the farmers, fear on the part of the farmers to profit to take over pricing, how the electronic platform is going to benefit them so that markets of the lands can also be avoided. What are all the steps taken for implementing the pricing policies and the advantages there? And also you spoke
Madam,
about the transportation
Madam,
costs.
voice is not clear. I am unable to comprehend. Can you adjust it a little bit?
So now I'm clear, sir? Now
Yeah,
I'm clear?
yeah.
Yes. So you clearly explained what are all the steps for the implementation of pricing policies, and also you share the importance of diversification of crops, and also the importance of roads and rail connectivity that should be made to all villages, so as to make the availability of perishable product at the earliest times. So really presented your sharing of knowledge very well, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us under this title of fixation of agriculture prices and marketing policy. This is in 10 of this fourth day of 5-day national webinar.
Thank you very much, madam. Any queries I can take? Any questions?
Have any queries? Go to synchronize, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
Dear participants, do you have any queries? kindly ask to resource person.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, I have. Sir, sir, I'm audible to you, sir.
Yeah, it is voice is breaking.
Sir, am I now audible, sir?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. The finally you told one point, MRC.
Yes.
Whether it is promote this, whether it is possible, and that it is going to be beneficial, but whether it is possible, what are all the steps to be taken?
Now, what I believe, this is only my concluding part, and it is my wide thinking that when MRP is available in the corporate sector, and they can decide their MRP, why can't the farmer can decide his MRP? So government is thinking of one minimum support price, but it's not thinking of giving him a maximum retail price. So my wide thinking is that if the farmer can use only limited product and its need is more, and if we can store it till the period the price is high, and if we can the byproduct and its utility is more by having the byproduct, then I think we can decide the MRP. Now MRP is there for other products like dal, then the dal is again processed and packeted by the corporate again. So farmer directly, if he wants to sell, then his product should be scarcely available, and if no one is buying, he should able to store it for some more time, and he can also, if it is not sold out, he can also make some byproducts out of it. I think that this process is followed, some MRP can be decided by. What I mean to say is that he should have a full command. He should have a full command on his product.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for the solution. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, if you have any queries, you can put in the chat box. Any queries on your side? Thank you, time, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So, shall we move to the next query, sir?
1 second, ma'am. Dear
Yes.
participants, we have any clarification, kindly interact with the resource person.
Sir, your voice is very clear. Your voice, madam's voice is breaking.
Right.
The two resource person available. Okay. Professor M. Prasad Rao and also K. Krishnamurthy are available. You have any questions, kindly ask. Uma ma'am,
Yes, sir.
our
Yes, sir.
secretary ma'am has joined, ma'am. Okay.
Welcome you, ma'am, for this webinar. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Let us
Proceed to the next level,
move.
sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I thank once again the organizer, sponsor, and especially thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Over to Uma Maheshwari.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us and sharing your knowledge on the effective implementation of agriculture price and marketing policy. So I take this great privilege to present my vote of thanks on this end of this fourth day, session 8, 9, and 10. So first of all, I would like to thank the eminent resource persons, Dr. J. Socrates, sir, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Economics, Manoormaniam Sundaranath University, Tirunelveli, and Professor N. Prasad Rao, Head of the Department of Economics, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh, and Mr. K. Krishnamurthy, IRS, Income Tax Commissioner, Hyderabad, Telangana, for sharing their experiences on challenges in the implementation of ENAM and gender inequality in rural agricultural laborers and effective implementation of agricultural price and marketing policy. So actually, the three sessions were really an eye-opening sessions for all the participants and the beneficiaries of this webinar. So I really thankful from the part of the Icssr, the three eminent resource persons for being with us even during this pandemic period amidst of this schedule. Thank you, sir. I thank the management, respected Secretary Madam Ms. P. Arundhati, respected Joint Secretary Madam Ms. P. Malasilvi, and respected Principal Sir Dr. K. Senthil Kumar sir for being with us from the inception of this idea of starting the webinar and concluding to this level on the fourth day of 5 days national webinar. I really thankful to the management. Thank you, ma'am and sir. I thank the Program Director, Dr. A. Sengotayan, Associate Professor and Head PG and Research Department, former CA, for conducting such a useful webinar where the agriculture is taken as a renowned person even aspires to become the agriculture. Thank you, sir. And also I thank the conveners, Dr. P. Saravanan sir and Ms. M. Kannan sir, head of the Department of Commerce, PA, IT and Finance, head of the Commerce respectively. And also thank the other colleagues and department staff members of our association. And I thank the dear participants, colleagues, research scholars, and faculty members from India and outside India for this 5 days national webinar. We are really thankful to you that because of your support, we are still here at the end of this day, 4th day session. Please do cooperate for the next day tomorrow, the valedictory session of tomorrow, where we have another 2 sessions, where we have another 2 eminent personalities who are going to discuss about the agricultural concepts. Thank you, dear participants, and thank you one and all connected here to this Zoom meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Uma Maheshwari ma'am, for
Thank
a
you.
wonderful vote of thanks. Thank you, sir. Krishnamurthy sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prasad Rao sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
Shall
you,
we wind
sir.
up the
Thank
shall
you,
we
sir.
wind up the session, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Dear participants, please do fill your feedback form before you leave this forum and take the feedback form at your end. Thank you, because your feedback is valuable for us, sir. Thank you. Thank you all.